Hey yo, what is up everyone? It is the Alpha J of the Alpha J Show. This review is yet again to give me a bit more time on my top 10 infamous SpongeBob episodes How I'd Write Rewritten Part 2. It also allows me to deliver on the last request I'm going to be taking for a while. However, with that said, We Bare Bears is in my top 3 favorite cartoons that are on air at the time of recording this, next to Gumball, in a tie between regular show and Steven Universe. It is the modern show done right, in my opinion. You have shows like Breadwinners, Pickle and Peanuts, Sanjay and Craig, and Powerpuff Girls who each try to grasp the idea of being trendy and modern. However, there's a difference between modern and 2016. Modern is a time period, like the contemporary time. You can be this idea of cool and trendy without having a short shelf life. Look at shows like Ed, Edd n Eddy, Billy and Mandy, Jimmy Neutron, or even early Fairy Odd Parents. They are seen as cool back then because they did what is really cool, and that is be yourself. Yeah, you know that cliche that people always tell other people? Yeah, it's because when you aren't yourself, you end up with stuff like later Fairy Odd Parents, or a hip reboot of the Powerpuff Girls. The moral of this episode is the moral that a lot of other shows should take note of. Any future show on Nick, Cartoon Network, Disney, or whatever happened to the Hub, as well as Fox and any other willing network that wants to deal with animation. Take out your pencil, take out your paper, and take some notes. The episode starts off with a flower using a surprise attack on an unsuspecting bee. It's very effective. Nice mom. However, I think you should take your son to the hospital. His sneeze sounds a lot like an electronic snare drum.
Hey, check this out.
There is no word in the dictionary for the amount of savagery. Grizzly thinks about changing his image by simply leaning on things in a very chill way.
So, what do you think?
Huh? What do I think what?
My thing here. I've got this great plan to change my image, to look cooler, man. Just gonna lean against everything I see.
Leaning against things makes you look cool, huh? How do I look?
So now we get the first glimpse of the plot just a minute in. It gives us a lot of time for the episode to develop when you introduce your plot so early. Also, since We Bare Bears loves to tell jokes, their plots are sometimes simpler because of it. This is a conversation that if I could, I would have with certain shows, or at least the people behind the creative end. You're X, but you want to be Y, but being Y doesn't make you cool. You can fill in X and Y for yourself. I'll leave you guys to interpret whichever show you may think that may be. Grizzly explains to everyone that everyone has their own version of cool, and Panda's version is being cute. Panda does not want to be labeled cute. Ice Bear is also reading a book on how to build a robot clone. This will come back later. So they take their pizza outside and, well, as you can see, this is a reference to this video here. Or at least an indirect reference. What I like about this reference is that even if you didn't know about that, this episode still stands. If the Gumball episode that I reviewed revolved around Karate Kid or something, and that was the reason why the characters acted like that, you alienate everyone who did not watch that particular movie. I also like how the bears aren't belittling him for being cute. In fact, they're quite encouraging, as well as the civilians around him, at least in the beginning.
No.
Panda sneeze, cute!
Hey, dubstep snare, cute! Panda would continue to deny being cute. Some creepy guy would record their sneeze and post it to the internet. Panda, of course, isn't too pleased to see everyone thinking that he's cute because to him, being cute is not cool. As Ice Bear works on a robot clone, Panda receives news from Grizzly that the video that some random guy just so happened to record received millions of views. I also want to pause here and show some of the little things. The hi Grizz on top, the share button, the username with arbitrary numbers in it, all these little things. However, many other shows take these little things like sharing and the usernames and emoticons and they blow them up to proportions that would make your 1800s relatives facepalm. If you have to point out that what you're doing is cool, then it really wasn't really cool to begin with, now was it? We're all human beings and we as a group determine what's popular and trendy. Another reason why I bring up these still frames is to show that the show is very well researched and it gives this viral video a plausible reason to become a hit. We love cute videos almost as much as we love funny videos. However, 3 million views would not just get 175 comments, at least not in real life. But that's just a minor nitpick to an otherwise perfect screen cap. I can clearly tell that the people behind the show at least understand the internet. Panda continues to express that this is not him, and that this viral sneeze is not what he would want people to know him by. They have a montage of people viewing the video and interacting with Panda quite rudely, I might add. But in this series, it is quite ambiguous how they treat bears, so for all I know, this could be how humans treat bears. Panda likes none of the extra attention that he's getting. A small preference that I think would have made this episode look a lot better, but if he sneezed out of nowhere while still getting all this attention, that would have given this so much more power. It could show the unexpectedness that the sneeze and the following video has. Before we go off into the next scene, it looks like the scene can use a bit more color. I will go into some of the scenes that look like it took less effort, but let's move into what starts up the conflict. So Nom Noms, this series equivalent to a popular YouTuber, sees the sneeze at first and may look unaffected, thinking that the scene really isn't as big and viral as his own cute viral videos, but on the inside is filled with a lot of insecure rage. Wait, what? The video was already next? Then there was no need for you to burst through the door, they were already going to see the video regardless. Also, if I had a TV that I needed to jump to press play, then I would not have a giant TV. Just one minor problem in this episode, this scene with Tom and Kate just reeks with laziness. Firstly, I know it's a stylistic choice, but the set pieces in this scene look rushed. The wheels look more square than anything. The couch's coloring is undone. Sometimes certain characters freeze up for unnatural amounts of time. If a character isn't saying or doing anything for that long, it's time for you to cut to another view. So Nom Noms tries the old reverse engineer trick without the engineer and twice to rip off, giving a creepy copy of the Panda Sneeze video that the crowd loves. Since they aren't totally brain dead, they realize that Nom Noms is trying to step on Panda's territory when it comes to viral videos, and they do not accept that. I also love how the technical director had the world premiere and Nom Nom ripping off the graphic already preloaded. I guess you could make the case that Nom Noms probably told everyone and this is a fake reaction, but it wouldn't explain the graphic afterwards unless we have another savage on deck. It also shows the importance of the difference between taking inspiration from and ripping off a product or trend. We, as a society, are smartening up slowly when it comes to rip-offs and cheap alternatives. You may have noticed that I'm looping some footage. This is intentional. This moment here is when Ice Bear realizes that his clone is gone. Well, it took me a few times watching this episode to realize that that side gag was even a thing. Personally, I believe it's a little bit too subtle, especially when it directly ties in with the end of the episode. So Tom and Kate mentions a cute off, which reminds me of the Don't Judge Me challenge. As the show goes off air, Panda openly mentions that he does not want to be cute in front of Nom Noms. As the show goes off air, Panda openly mentions that he does not want to be cute in front of Nom Noms, which makes Nom Noms manipulate Panda into acting unlike himself so that he wins, and no one thinks that Panda is cute anymore. However, in the process of people not thinking Panda is cute, they may not think that Panda's cool either.
Welcome everyone to the
Wait,
National
what?
Cute Off.
Is that the same girl from... It is! How did she... Why is she... Never mind.
My name is Panda. I am a panda. I'm a panda bear.
Something tells me that Jay-Z isn't exactly breaking his neck to grab a checkbook. So as Nom Nom crushes it in the competition, he makes Panda look like the fool he already is by tripping him and capitalizing on the moment. Then we get this scene.
Hey, what's going on? Why aren't you doing your cute thing?
I don't want to be cute. I want to be cool, like you.
Listen, man, cute is what makes you cool. That's why all these people came to see you.
Do you really think I'm cool?
Man, you got famous on the internet. You got on a talk show. You are the coolest.
Ice Bear thinks you're precious.
So he decides to be himself, which is apparently cute to others, and being comfortable in his skin. While doing this, he ends up crushing and gaining the clear advantage. I like how Nom Noms is revealed to be unlike his online persona. It gives the clear contrast between artificial and natural cuteness. However, this crowd support is short-lived as Panda Sneeze turn very violent and nasally. In the process, everyone leaves because they're shallow. So much for spending money on tickets, right? Grizzly and Ice Bear pick up Panda, being proud that he stood up for himself, being himself. They end on a subtle gag I mentioned before, and that was We Bare Bears Panda Sneeze. Look, did you expect me to comment on the fact that they exploit this stereotype on cuteness to a shallow and borderline obsessively tasteless degree? Well, first of all, both of the participants consented to be there. I think this was over the top enough so that no one would really think that this was really awful. Another thing that glues this plot together is that in no part of this episode does Grizzly feel like he's talking over Panda. He may not listen to him for half of the episode, but that's only because Panda talks from insecurity. Of course he doesn't want to be on TV or in a cute off, but look where it's gotten him, except the ending. Besides, all of the plot is based on the bears wanting to be cool And if anything, Panda would be the coolest of them all, getting all those views and comments that some other YouTubers would kill for. Oh no, not me, I'm just holding this gun for a friend. Also, before I forget to mention, this show is a giant metaphor for being yourself. For a modern show, that is not only amazing, but refreshing to say the least. Many shows push their characters to be not human at all, which makes them look the opposite of cool. Let's be honest, Grizzly isn't the coolest cucumber in the bunch, but he is himself, which makes him appear cool to us. Ice Bear is himself, which allows him to be cool to the audience, no pun intended. These characters seem not only natural, but relatable, and relatable is always cool. So I hope you other shows took notes, or else you'll end up in BuzzFeed's You're 2010s Kids if you watch this article. So this was a surprise review, a We Bare Bears Panda Sneeze review. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and check out the card and vote in the poll to whether you like this episode or not. I always check the poll, and as always, I hope your time was well spent, and Alpha out. So Panda took the flower, sniffed it, and now he has this funny look. He's high.
Oh! He's good. Hey, what's going on? Why aren't you doing your cute thing?
I don't want to be cute. I want to be cool, like you.
Listen, man, cute is what makes you cool. That's why all these people came to see you.
Do you really think I'm cool?
Man, you got famous on the internet. You got on a talk show. You are the coolest.
Oh my god, it wasn't that serious. How would you explain the warranties? Oh yes, Dale, I broke my phone reacting to a panda sneeze. Wait, you'll give me a replacement Alienware? Oh my god, let me drop my phone now. No phones were hurt in the making of this episode.